The Toronto Sceptres win the first game of the 2025-26 season of the PWHL 2-1 over the Minnesota Frost in Minnesota during their banner-raising night for the Walter Cup they won last season. It was a funky game, I think would be a good way to describe it. It's the first game of the season. I think both teams, more so Toronto, didn't quite have their legs underneath them yet, and it showed. The Toronto Sceptres, without Renata Fast this game, she has a upper body injury, I believe is what they said, and she was not in the starting lineup for this game, which is unfortunate and a little bit concerning. Fast was a big part of the team last year, and obviously she won Defender of the Year. She led the league in ice time and hasn't missed a game yet of her professional career. So to see her out, before the puck even drops, it's, you don't like to see it. Sceptres with a lot of rookies in the lineup, a couple of new faces from trades and free agency acquisitions. 4 minutes into the game, Minnesota gains a zone entry. Britta Curl of the Frost beats a couple Sceptres to the puck on the near boards, takes a hit to make the pass across the ice where a Kelly Panic is waiting wide open. And the Sceptres, for a team that's coached defense first by Troy Ryan, didn't have a whole lot of defense to speak of on this play. It was just wide open zone for Panic to pass it across to Kendall Coyne, and she lifts it over Reagan Kirk's pad, to make it 1-0 for the Frost early. And we begin to see the same patterns that plagued the Sceptres all of last season, where they just don't start the game on time. And it's a little worrying, and you wonder how much more of this, how many more games are they going to do this for before they can, get on their horse the moment the puck hits the ice and the moment, the clock starts ticking down. But, Reagan Kirk, to her credit, after that goal, which she didn't have a whole lot of chance on, again, not a whole lot of defense going on, and it was a really clean cross-crease pass from Panic. She shut it down after that goal. And Kirk played a hell of a game this game. 4 minutes in, and it's 1-0 Minnesota. Later in the period, though, Toronto trying to break out of their zone. Savannah Harmon puts a really nice lead pass up to Natalie Spooner, who gets it over the blue line, and then loses the puck a little bit. So she kind of just hacks it to the opposite corner. And I don't know if it was meant to be a pass. I don't know if she was just trying to dump it in. I don't know if it was meant to be a shot. But it gets past two Minnesota defenders. One was a little bit tied up with Malte. Credit to Malte. Malte had a really good game. She was all over the ice. And anyway, Spooner sends this puck through two Minnesota defenders and on to one of the new faces of the Sceptres, Ella Shelton. Ella Shelton gets this puck on her stick, and it does not take long, and she does not miss. She lifts it over the glove of Maddie Rooney, and just like that, it's 1-1 again, and that is where the score would stay at the end of the first period. Second period comes up, and having their shots nearly doubled. In the first frame, Toronto has a really good, really clean, really even second period with Minnesota. Both teams took a penalty, and both teams had 8 shots on net total. And holy cow, Toronto's power play looks bad. It looks so bad. It's really shocking because last season, Toronto got off to a rocky start, but they rocketed up into second place in the league by having a power play that operated at, I think it was around 48 or 50% for about half the season. So to have a power play that was that good and then come out and be as lackluster as it was, and I believe Toronto had 3 power plays this game and they only had 1 shot cumulatively, maybe 2. it was not a good power play. Minnesota was getting like shorthanded chances, not just like an odd breakaway or a rush. Like they got to set up and have like offensive zone time while shorthanded. It was not a pretty sight, I gotta say. But in the evenness of the second period and the penalties that were taken, no goals would be scored. And the game stays 1-1 going into the second intermission, coming into the third period. And for a game that's the first game of the season, it's the banner raising night for the Frost. It seems like it would be a really thrilling, exciting, punchy game, and that's kind of just not what it shaped up to be. I don't want to say I feel bad for the fans that went there, because credit to Minnesota, by the way. That arena looked pretty full. For an NHL-sized arena, at least, from what it looked like on the broadcast, there were a lot of seats filled. But yeah, like, just not low-scoring game. And, Minnesota was, I will say, outplaying Toronto for the bulk of this game. And Reagan Kirk stood on her head. Like, Kirk, I'm very, very excited to see Kirk presumably be the starting goaltender for the Sceptres team this season. I know Troy Ryan likes to run the more designated starter backup routine than have like a tandem situation. That's how it worked last year when Kirk was the backup to Campbell, and except for that little blip there where Campbell was faltering. Assuming Kirk is a starter over Elaine Chuli, who was also great but also didn't get a whole lot of chances in Montreal because she was behind Desbiens, it's going to be really exciting because she was amazing this game. The shots she was facing, their redirections and, bobbling pucks and, through all kinds of traffic and ping-ponging off of sticks and shins and skates, like she stood tall. And another new blood player, not just to the Sceptres, but to the league as a whole, Kiara Zanon. A little under halfway through the third period, receives a very nifty pass from Malte. On the near boards in the neutral zone, just flicks a backhand. It's a little bit behind Zanon, but she's able to corral it and just gets past her defender. Doesn't overcomplicate it. Then you like to see that from a young player. A lot of players really like to be, flashy and exciting, and obviously that is good. But she just manages to get around the defender and rips a really, really nice shot past Maddie Rooney to make the score 2-1 for the Sceptres. And, that's where you can see Toronto, that second round pick in Kiara Zanon, is going to very good use. She scored in both of Toronto's preseason games, and, she doesn't seem like she has any intention of slowing down anytime soon. There was a weird instance later in the third period where Toronto was on the power play and Minnesota dumped the puck down because they're killing a penalty, so they get rid of the puck. But then the whistle went and the refs were communing if there should be a delay of game, and everyone was confused. And from what I saw, from what people seem to assume, is the PWHL, for those of you who don't know, doesn't have the trapezoid rule for goalies. I think a part of this reason is because their arenas aren't quite standardized because they don't have full control. They're not primary tenants in most of the arenas they play in. Some of them are different. The ice specs are different. They don't have those lines painted, so they just don't have the trapezoid rule. And I think the officials might have forgotten about that because Rooney came out and played a puck a bit more in the corner outside of the trapezoid and dumped it down, and a whistle went, and they're like, there's no delay of game. But the face-off was still in Toronto's zone. It was weird. It was a weird series of events. But Minnesota was really pouring it on in the last couple of minutes. They yanked the goalie for the 6-on-5 and got a couple of really good quality shots in, had some good redirections, and again, Kirk managing to stand tall and keep this game 2-1. Stopped 30 or 31 shots this game, which is really good considering Toronto only had 19 shots this game. Like, I think a lot of that is going to be because their power play wasn't effective and it didn't give them that momentum. Like, if you have a bad power play, it can really kind of kill the team's energy. And that's kind of what seems to happen at a few points in this game. But the first start of the game, the league and myself agree, Kiara Zanon, just magnificent. I can't imagine a much better feeling for a rookie. The first, regular season game, getting your first goal, a really nice goal, not a greasy one, not an ugly one, not whacking away on a scramble in the crease and your stick is the last one that touches it. Like, just a really nice shot, really nice goal, gives your team the win on the road, spoils the fun for the Frost on their banner raising night. Just excellent. Excellent. She's going to be a really fun player to watch for the rest of this season. I'm really looking forward to seeing her play more. And yeah, overall, like, Sceptres, they have a lot to work on. They definitely, Minnesota, I think, had the upper hand in terms of play tonight, but their rookies look promising. The trades they made are looking good. Kirk is looking great in the crease, and I'm excited. The P-Dub is back. The P-Dub is back. It's a condensed season because of the Olympics in February and everything, so it's going to be a lot of higher pressure for some of these players that might not be used to it, and these rookies that aren't necessarily used to these professional level full seasons. And hopefully Fast isn't out for too long with that upper body injury, because you don't want to see, one of your leading defenders and a member of your leadership group. She is an alternate captain or assistant captain, whichever one. I've heard both. I never really got confirmation on which one is, correct. So I like assistant better. It makes more sense to me. Hopefully she's not out for too long. Toronto's defense, especially on that first goal, really fell apart. And Troy Ryan, again, someone who plays a defense first, coaches a defense first style. I really hope they can tighten that up, because you can't be letting Kirk have to deal with 30 shots every game if you're only going to get 19. And, hopefully those defenders can quarterback a better power play and they can mesh and they can gel. I'm hoping a lot of these early season teething issues are just a lot of rookies and some players that haven't played a whole lot with each other before, just trying to find that mesh, trying to get the gel, get the legs under them, get more acquainted with each other and figure out the chemistry, and then there can be a point where it all clicks and we can go. And Toronto can have just a consistently good season. Last season, like I mentioned, they got up to second place on a 50% power play. Doesn't look like that's happening this year. And even if, you can't expect that to happen. That's ridiculous. And in the first season of the league, they went on a 9-game winning streak, I believe. You can't rely on that happening again. So I want them to play good, consistent hockey for the next 29 games of the season and get back into the playoffs and hopefully don't face Minnesota in the first round again, please God. Thank you so much for watching, though. I'm probably going to make a video like this after every Sceptres game. I hope I can do that anyway, and I'm going to try to stay on top of league news. Subscribe if you want to see all that kind of stuff, if you want to see more, if you want to see me, just give my thoughts after the Sceptres games, and I hope to see you guys around. Thank you very much, and good night. P-Dub is